A very nice game from round 2 as Zimbabwe's Makoto Rodwell faced off with the Grandmaster from Australia, Sardana Rishi, who is about 100 elos higher. So here's the game. Knight f3, d5, g3, and after g6, bishop g2, bishop g7, d4, knight f6, having a very mirrored position. We get castles on either side, and we get to see c4, which kind of transposes into a Catalan setup against a Gruenfeld. So we get to see an open game after this, and knight to a3. Knight to a3 is a very cool move. As you get to see, the knight is trying to recapture the pawn without necessarily deterring the involvement. It also prevents b5, which is at times typical in some of these open positions. Not necessarily here, as obviously the bishop comes to life, the diagonal. Yeah. So c3 was played. Pawn takes, b takes c3, c5. So this is the typical Gruenfeld kind of setup, trying to zero down to the pawn on b4. Knight to c4 was played, knight to c6, adding pressure to the pawn. Knight from c to e5, knight to d5. Well, yeah, we get to see that that's the typical plan of the Gruenfeld, which is always to attack the d pawn, adding a lot of pressure to it, meaning even moves like trying to develop the bishop so that you can take out the f3 knight are possible, just to weaken or to win the pawn. So knight from c to e5 was played, knight to d5, attacking the c3 pawn, bishop to d2, knight takes e5, knight takes e5, and then we get to see bishop to e6, completing the development. Well, yeah, so the game has reached its middle game position, and well, time for either players to make plans. e4 was played, which is a very nice and thematic move that is often made in such kinds of positions. Well, it somewhat closes blanks the diagonal, but its intent is to have a central presence in the position. Knight to b6 was played, and after bishop to e3, well, defending the d4 pawn again, holding onto the center, knight to c4 was played. Well, it's a very nice and decent move. I could say it's quite principled. Another move to consider is bishop takes e5. Well, it damages the pawn structure, but it's something strategic, though out of principle. I mean, you wouldn't want to play this if at all you are not sure of how you're going to complete your development. But then we get to see that fracturing those pawns wouldn't be a terrible idea per se. Then too, you're going to kind of zero down to all those pawns since they're weak. It also blunts the bishop's diagonal. I mean, because as long as the pawn is on e4, then the bishop on g2 is a clown. Yeah, so it would be another good way to continue the game. And I guess it was discarded because of its complexity. So knight to c4 was played. And after the exchange of knights, bishop takes c4, rook to e1, queen to f5, e5 was played. So a very nice pawn sacrifice, which cannot be accepted as it leads to a lot of chaos or drama on the board, as we may see later on in the game. Rook from f to d8 was played, which was an inaccuracy. Quite a bad strategy indeed, because it allowed the move that kind of changed the game. Let me go through why queen takes c3 would be a bad idea. Well, it attracts tempo against the queen, which has to keep a hold of the bishop to d2, and after queen to d5, a4, trying to deflect the queen, obviously attacking the queen. It has to stay on the diagonal defending the bishop. Queen to c2, bishop to e6, and after queen takes c5, all the tempi shall haunt black further down the board. As you get to see it also, the b7 pawn is under attack. There's expansion going to happen in the center, and probably the e7 pawn is also going to fall, which is going to lead to quite catastrophic things happening on the black side of the board. So that was discarded. So the best move in the position is actually rook from a to d8, as we will get to see why it is the better choice than what was chosen in the game. Because if bishop takes b7, then bishop takes e5, winning back the pawn, but not only winning back the pawn, but totally destroying the central presence of white. And you get to see that, yeah, it takes advantage of the pin. The move that was played looks like a similar idea, but then it has one setback, and that is it hangs a rook. So bishop takes b7 is now stronger. And after rook from a to b8, queen comes out of the pin, f3 defending the bishop, queen takes c3, and now the board has flipped in the sense that all the tempi that black would have gained if only the a rook was on d8, it's not the same since there's a bit of a misplacement. So rook from e to c1 was played attacking the queen. Queen hangs around on b2 since the rook on a is hanging. Well, rook from a to b1, queen takes on a2, and then cold-heartedly Rodwell plays d takes c5, planning to just push the pawn to victory. Well, we get to see that now this is a very, very serious setback for the black pieces, as that pawn is very dangerous on the c file. 3 steps away from queening, and that is quite serious counterplay that has to be sourced for them to come back to the game. Well, bishop takes e5 was played, which is the blunder that seals the fate for the game. Well, it's quite hard to also tell what to do in the position since there's no active move that can be played and no piece can sensibly move. But after bishop takes e5, queen to e4 was played attacking both bishops, bishop to c3, and after c6, bishop to d3, attacking the queen, queen takes on e7, and we get to see that the pawn is going to promote. Nothing much can be done about it. And above all, there is also trouble in the camp of black since the king is under siege. So a rook to e8 was played, and c7 was played in the position, which totally negates everything that has been done by black to try to be active. Rook from b to c8 was played, stopping the pawn moving down the board. Queen to c5, attacking the dark squared bishop. Bishop takes b1, queen takes c3, holding onto the exchange. But we get to see that the rook has nowhere to go, so the exchange shall be won back, but in a much favorable position than what we see right now on the board. Bishop to f5 was played, still guarding the c8 square. Bishop to h6, started mate in 1. And after f6, queen takes f6. Well, we may call it quits in the position since everything has totally gone wrong. Queen to f7 was played, defending against the mate. Queen to d6. A very nice and wise choice by the white player, because you'd want to keep all the pieces on the board since there is not much that can be done by black to defend. I mean, like right now, the threat is possibly winning not only the exchange, but also the queen is under siege. So bishop to h3 was played, and after f3, a5, g4 was played, stopping the bishop from coming out, meaning the queen is going to be under attack after a move like bishop to d5, pinning the queen to the king. So king stepped out of the file, but bishop takes c8, winning the rook, and after rook takes c8, queen to d8 check, sealed the victory. It was a very nice game played by white, Rodwell. We get to see that, yeah, the Gruenfeld was just outplayed, and I think all the troubles kind of sourced out when the queen side collapsed, and the critical move, which ought to have been rook from a to d8, kind of sealed the fate. So this was the turning point, move 17, And it's really subtle, I may say, but understanding the continuation that happened after the queenside collapsed is what makes the most out of it. Yes. So well played by the Zimbabwean, who is on quite a streak in the event. We hope to see him win more games like this in such fashion, and well, the opponents to blunder less too. And all the best to the teams, Zimbabwe and Australia, as they continue in their siege in the Olympiad. Peace.